So my thing is, I want to show you guys, all right, something here. And again, this is not financial advice. Please use as much discretion as you can. And I am personally invested into this. And no, I'm not trying to, people say, oh, you're just trying to pump your own bags. Really? You really? This used to be the top 100 crypto, by the way. So I own about 105 of these. I have dollar cost average all the way from like 25. I originally got into this like right around in the bull run. I paid like roughly for my first bag. I think I paid like, I don't know, $21 or $22. And then I saw it go to like 50, over $51. Made some good profit on even just a handful of these. So I just started off with 5. And I became more and more impressed with H&T as time went by. Dollar cost average into it again. Came in, I think I bought like another 100. But I think I bought in like maybe the $3.5, $4.5 range. Now it's all the way down to $1.29. There's something to be said about distressed assets. Now, why am I mentioning H&T? Well, as you guys know, they had that particular Binance USD listing, Binance US mentioned Helium H&T, and they also mentioned Jasmine. My thing is this: I always pay close attention to distressed assets when I feel as though like there might be a bottom. So I'm studying this particular one because for when I hold it, there's a couple guys that do T&A in regards to H&T, right? Like this stuff here, right? You guys see people do this, right? Some people state that this is going to lose support, go down to $1. Now, at some point, something's going to happen in which there's going to be, it's going to stabilize. And my thing is this: with all the FUD that's been happening recently when it comes to H&T, I still feel as though that there is something here, because this is not like it's like a complete garbage project. It's not. They had a bad thing happen when it comes to the delisting on Binance US. Some people also don't like the whole idea that they're going to Solana. When I look more into this, I said to myself, this is the direct reaction of some of the politics. Really, look into it yourself if you're interested or if you're into this. So, as we know, this whole exchange of CMC is very politically driven. If you don't believe me on what I'm talking about here, it very, very, very well is. Some of you guys already know where I'm going with this. Some of you guys don't know about this stuff. I'm going to give you a perfect example of this. Here is a perfect example. Here is Hex. I know I don't own any Hex. Larry owns some Hex. Some of you guys own Hex. Hex is almost up to 10 cents, by the way. That's super cool. I mean, man, shout out to all those guys that came in under 2 cents last summer when this was distressed. You're doing really well. All right. Due to politics, this has, for instance, a ranking of 201. Now, you may be saying, well, Max, a lot of projects are unconfirmed on market cap for CMC. I get what you're saying. But this has a confirmed market cap of $17,220,791,000. Also has a confirmed diluted market cap of $62 billion. But yet the ranking is 201. Now let me just show you what I'm talking about real quick. So we have a confirmed market cap of $17,191,000,000. So just remember 17 billion in your head. Let's go to cryptocurrencies by top 10. All right. Based on market cap, that's how they rank these cryptocurrencies on CMC. So keep this in your head. So Solana, 8,632,000,000. Polygon, 10 billion. I'm sorry, 105 million. I misspoke on Solana. Sorry, but the key thing is 10 billion for Polygon, 10 billion for Doge, 13 billion for Cardano. Remember what we said for Hex? Didn't we say 17 billion? I believe we did. So based off of market cap for Hex, their market cap should be listed right here, right after XRP, and right at $17 billion market cap. It's confirmed if you go onto the page, but the ranking has been manipulated not to show in the top 10. Now, why is that? It's because of politics, basically. No, I'm not talking about Democrats and Republicans, not like that. I'm talking about these guys behind the scenes. They have tensions at each other. Now, back to the H&T topic. The reason why I want to mention this is when HNT announced that they're going with Solana, right? There's one thing, to have low trading. They didn't have low trading. They did not have low trading. You may be wondering, oh man, I can't believe Max is taking a deep dive into this. Yes, I will take a deep dive into this. So you may be wondering, they had low trading. They did not have low trading. Like this might have gone down, right? But I want to show you guys this real quick. So this is for the month. And of course, obviously, this is just one down in direct reaction to a lot of things, right? That time we had stable coins kind of depegging. There's a lot of factors, right? So this is on the 1 month, all right? But the key thing is here, right? You can still track volume. You're trying to tell me that with well over 2 or 3 million in volume daily, right? Like some of this does kind of go down a little bit more, but the point is, it's consistently at good volumes. Like even right here, look at this, 314, right? You have almost close to 5 million volume. How about this? People recognize how distressed this became. Volume even increased, right? So here's the thing, if Binance's excuses, on the report, it was due to volume, what a crock. What a crock. And then, by the way, this report that I'm showing you right here, where does it come from? It comes from their own platform. Who owns CMC? It's Binance. So if you're not convinced that this is politically driven, this is politically driven. They delist it because I guess you could say they get emotional. They get pissed off because Helium shows, for instance, Solana. And, if you look more into the politics, there's something about like, I don't know if it's CZ. There's another particular guy from Binance. They have, I don't know, a tiff, if you will, with a person from Solana. This is what I'm talking about. It's the politics. It drives me crazy. However, even though it drives me crazy, it makes me that much more bullish. And the reason why it makes me that much more bullish is because I understand that Helium, for instance, if you go to their site, and I get it, some people are upset with Helium. They're like, oh, there's better miners and stuff like that out there. I totally get that. Totally get that. But my thing is, when you go over to their particular site, understand this. Like it says, people-powered networks, a wireless revolution powered by the Helium blockchain, the people's network. You can mine, stake, and even use Helium. Gives you all sorts of resources, right? But one of the key takeaways here is some of the latest news they have. Nova Labs and T-Mobile collaborate on crypto carrier Helium Mobile. Are you kidding me? Who doesn't know about, for instance, T-Mobile, right? Let me try to pull this up real quick. Let me see. Exit full screen. Let me see. Just click on that link. So anyway, yeah, the whole thing in regards, I was going to try to pull up that link, but I'm just going to take you actually right there. The whole thing with T-Mobile is really, really big. I'm just going to go on Google and type that real quick. So T-Mobile Helium. Yeah. I want you guys to see this just for a brief moment, right? So here it is. This takes back to September, I think, of 2022. Yeah, it does. So here's this particular tab. It says T-Mobile allows the Helium mobile crypto carrier to ride, listen to this, guys, ride on its 5G network. Now, my thing is this. If you don't understand that, this project is not going to go away and could easily go back in the top 100, could possibly get back into like top, I think at one point they were in the top 50. Don't quote me on that. But it says Nova Labs made a deal to work with T-Mobile on a distributed wireless network that will help boost capacity levels on T-Mobile's nationwide 5G network. Nova Labs, if you didn't know about this, the GM of wireless, who's Boris Rensky, said you can call the new Helium mobile network a mobile, listen to this, guys, virtual network operator. But Nova Labs prefers the much more exciting description, which is crypto carrier. Think about that. I like that description itself. Crypto carrier. Do you know of anything else out there that's a crypto carrier? Technically speaking, we could say Vodafone with the SIM cards, with the quant connection with Overledger, right? But is that a crypto carrier? No, they have to still go through the layer of what Vodafone provides. Now, once in a while, I do these crazy things where I give you extended research or whatever, but I want you guys to understand, for me personally, I have done I take some of these deep dives in things I feel is distressed. Here's a perfect example. VGX last year became very, very distressed. Dropped down, I think, to one point like 34 cents back then. Actually, more than that, right? Some guys came in at like I think 15 cents or something like that. Bought into it, went as high as like over $1.10, $1.15 or something like that. You took a lot of profit. Me, I came in at 40 cents, sold at like I think maybe $1.04, $1.07, something like that. And then I was up like I don't know, close to 2,000. Might have been like anywhere from 1,600 to 2,000. I can't remember the exact figure. What I do at that time, I want to get Luna Classic, right? More Luna Classic. So I swapped to Luna Classic, right? But my point is, distressed assets could be a situation where it's VGX, right? That was a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. But this is a different type of distressed asset. You don't have this is not an exchange. This is a utility token, right? Through what they provide as far as mobile phone carriers and data scraping and stuff like that. So anyway, this particular guy, who's Boris Rensky, said that most MVNOs just sit on top of a major network, but with Helium Mobile Network, it actually adds to T-Mobile's existing network, and that's key. It's not that, hey, HNT Helium, we're going to give you a contract, which you do your own thing and you use our consensus to get it done. No, it sits on top of the particular network. When you mention Quant, what does Quant do? Quant sits on top as far as like with Overledger, right? So I want people to understand that particular breakdown. Now, he says, but the Helium mobile network actually adds, of course, T-Mobile to T-Mobile's existing network. I just reiterated that. But a little background. Nova Labs is a company that brings together two startups, Freedom Fi and Helium. Now, if you're wondering what the heck is Freedom Fi, they have been working on technology to offload cellular traffic to CBRS spectrum. It gets individuals to deploy cellular gateways on their personal property, and then these individuals earn cryptocurrency in exchange for their efforts. Helium is most known for its creation of a global distributed Internet of Things, just like Jasmine, Internet of Things network, which also uses cryptocurrency as an enticement for the people to deploy IoT gateways. So basically, bottom line is this: you take your Helium miner, and whatever data is scraped on that, you earn HNT rewards. That's how you get paid in it. Nova Labs COO Frank Mon described the merger between Helium and Freedom Fi as a fantastic marriage of similar-sized companies working on decentralized 5G. Now, you may be wondering, why am I mentioning all this? The reason why I want to mention all this is to understand this was a key partnership. Now, how did we go from some of these key things that were built in a crypto winter, right, to where we're at now with a delisting of HNT from Binance US? I really feel as though it's politically driven. And the reason for that is these things do happen. You have these little tiffs between whether it's Binance or some of these other guys and so on. And as a result, you go back to it, whether it's Richard Hart with Hex not having a proper listing on the CMC platform. And I get it, there's also CoinGecko, but let's be honest, the number one platform as far as crypto listings to track is CMC. All right. And of course, how about this? You want some more information about this? Who doesn't know about Dish Network, right? I used to actually do some work for them back in when I was like, I think 19 years old, 19, 20. Look what it says here. Today's news with T-Mobile, this is not today's news, back then, is a bigger deal. Nova Labs and T-Mobile have signed an exclusive 5-year agreement for the launch of Helium Mobile commercial service that will leverage T-Mobile's macro network and Nova Labs CBRS network. This service is set to launch in beta early in 2023. So for one, you have this thing that's being worked on. You have this platform that's not going to go away, obviously, despite just because there's some bad press that tanked the price of this thing. Something fierce became distressed because of the Binance US listing. Again, it's the narrative, but this is not a particular project that is just going to go away because it's in distressed mode. The point I'm trying to make to you guys is this. When you see comments like this, Helium Mobile is actually a service provider. Actually, a service provider. It's called Helium Mobile. You can purchase a data plan, like I said, for as low as $5 per month, get nationwide service. Do you know of anybody that can provide that? The last I saw, and no, nothing against senior citizens. What is it? That one particular, there's a particular cellular service for like older people. And I think it's like $15 a month. That was the cheapest I've ever seen. I forgot that. It's, I'm drawing a blank on that particular one. I believe they even give you they give your mom, your pop, your grandpa a flip phone, right? And it's $15 a month. So that, technically speaking, that's like the cheapest of the cheap, right? But to see this, a data plan as low as $5 per month, guys, here's the reason why we mention things like Flux, right? Where Flux is a direct threat to Amazon Web Services, direct threat to Google Cloud, direct threat to some of these other ones where they charge you a high premium fee. And it's a night and day difference if you want with Flux. The key thing is simply that adoption, right? It says where there are helium cells, you can use helium cells, but in places where there are not helium cells, you can use what? You can have a fallback of the T-Mobile network. So if the T-Mobile network is teamed up with obviously Helium, and Helium Mobile is actually a service provider, and you have these things to fall back on, right? And they signed a 5-year exclusive agreement for the launch of Helium Mobile commercial service that will leverage T-Mobile's macro network and Nova Labs CBRS network. Understand that we're still early on this. It's still in, I guess, apparently beta, but we're going from these next phases. The next phase is to go to Solana. And while that may have been a very unpopular, pissed off moment for Binance, and they gave a reaction, this project's still not going away. Now, why am I mentioning it to you? Well, if you're following me still, the reason why I mention it to you is I want you to understand that when we come back to here, we will follow this closely. And if we see consistency where maybe we're close to bottom, like again, some of these guys mentioned like this could tank below $1. I'm following this closely because the way I look at it is for the same reason I got into H&T originally. It was highly recommended from Investor Place. Investor Place has hit it 9 times out of 10 for me on ones that they pick for portfolio. What am I talking about? They picked out audio for me. They picked out the graph for me. They picked out some of these other particular ones for me. Filecoin. I've done very, very well on all of those. To me, these guys know what they're talking about. So it's not financial advice. You're going to have to do more of your own deep dive research, but understand the key takeaway is this. Distressed assets doesn't necessarily have to be exchange assets, like Voyager and so on. But the key thing is to recognize what's distressed and if we're close to the bottom. Another particular example is Jasmine, obviously. We cover that quite a bit here. But I want people to understand opportunity while it's there. And if you feel as though that H&T could be it, if you're not fully aware of this and so on, I'm not asking you or telling you to just go and blindly throw money at Helium. I'm not saying that. But I'm just telling you guys, from my point of view, I'm following this very, very closely, just like I followed Filecoin very, very closely since summer of last year. I could put 7K into that. That's going to be my power swap. And I'm going to be updating you guys here soon on what happens with that. But man, I really, really think there's something big could happen here with Helium. And just to give you a taste about this, here is Helium. Now, you may be wondering, well, that's last time's all-time highs. I get that. But you also understand this. When I got into Filecoin, on an average price of $4.83. Right, I'm still way up on that. I think I'm like at 1,500 up on that, and it's fluctuated. But once I hit my goals of at least $2 to $3 grand, and hopefully more than $3 grand, that'd be beautiful. I power swap it, stack more on my other particular assets. Now, when it comes to Helium, we did see that right around the time Bitcoin and Ethereum hit all-time highs, this too hit all-time highs. Right, $52.70. I came in Helium roughly about a month before this happened. I came in at $20. Went from $20, boom, with my handful of Helium at 50. The consistent thing I want people to understand was that wasn't too bad. And yeah, I mean, look at it from that perspective. of where the prices are now compared to then, you're like, wow, that's a big nosedive. The big nosedive was crypto winter. I feel as though we are at the start of a bull run. I've said it consistently here at Crypto Talk Now, not just based off emotions, but I provide you guys actual data. If you're more interested in Helium, follow the data, and you'll be really surprised at where we could possibly go with this. Because for me, if I come into this, it's not too shabby just to throw some at this. So, I mean, I'm looking at some of these particular prices. If this comes more distressed, let's say, let's call it like $1 even, I think it would be $1 even. Well, even at these particular prices, let's just do $1.29. Let's say this is bottom for it. And I pick up, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do 12,900. That's a lot. So let's say I do, I don't know, pick up 4,000 of these times $0.29. That's about it's like that seems like a lot, right? 5,160. But I already have like 105 of these. So technically speaking, that's 4,105. 4,105. I know maybe some of you guys, maybe I lost some of you guys, but anyway. And I multiply that, and I don't even have to go to previous all-time highs, right? I'm just looking at it from a perspective of, let's say this does half of all-time highs. So all-time highs is basically like $51. But what makes me happy also, and I forgot to mention this, is Bitcoin goes, some people say that Bitcoin could very well go up to 40K by the end of the year. All right. I'm looking out from all these particular perspectives. Ethereum could go higher as well. So if 51, I believe, actually it's 52.7. So we just ran off to like $53. Let's just say close to half. If this even just goes back to $25, which I think is more than capable. And if you're looking at this particular chart, you do see that it is more than capable in a true bull run. So with that said, 4105 of these things, right? Times, I don't know, 25, right? I didn't even mention all-time highs. That's $102,625. That's not too shabby. And, some of you guys are saying, could we look into ones where we could be a little bit more conservative? For me personally, I don't think you can hurt yourself too bad, even if you don't want to throw in like that particular amount I mentioned. I understand that's kind of a bigger investment for some people. But my thing is, I mean, even at 1,000, let's do 1,000. Was it just a little bit different math? Sorry, 1,000 of these times $1.29. So $12.90 investment. And then on top of that, let's say we got 1,000 of these. I mean, it's just basically math, right? Times 25. I mean, come on, that's a 25x basically. You buy, roughly 1,000 of these, right? Like close to $1,000 investment. That's a 25x. You're always talking about 10x. That's a 25x. I'm just saying, guys. I want to point some of this stuff out. We always cover, we consistently cover utility-driven ones. I think there's something to be said about HNT. I really, really, truly believe that. I really think there's something to be said about it. It could very well tank below $1. I'll try to monitor it, but at some point, this will level off, and that's why I want to pay attention to. Just like I pay close attention to Filecoin. I said to myself, under $5 for Filecoin is an absolute steal. That's the bottom. And it came into it. Show me the money. Like the one. Helium almost forgot about this. Have a miner not producing much, definitely going to grab a decent bag. All right, so before I make the announcement, if you're still here, show me the money. I got something I want to tell you. You owe it to yourself. There's a few particular content creators out there. You can look them up that focus specifically on helium mining and to maximize your rewards. Now, I want to point this out, okay? Because in the future, my plan is I will finally become, I always wanted to mine something. It's going to be helium. Now, if you guys know who 2-Bit is, he has a helium miner. His gripe is it's not making him much. And if anything, I don't think he believes in it too much. That's just, I don't speak on his behalf, but that's what I think. So I remember on one of his live streams, he mentioned that, like I think about a week ago. I want to throw this out there. So when helium was first made, it was, they had different things going on, kind of like a lot of things with blockchain and, crypto projects, with Bitcoin, for instance, when I first started, right? different hash rates, more lucrative rewards, right? Used a lot of electricity, but the point is, different time then compared to the time that we're in now. A lot more attractive to mine Bitcoin, right? BTC in the early 2010s compared to where we're at now, right? Like there's still money to be made, but the point is totally different times. Helium is a perfect example. Totally different times. Now hear me out. And I hope to God you're still here to listen to this. All right. I don't have the guy's link, but I remember there's a particular guy. He kind of looks a little rough. I mean, I need to clean up, right? I need to go see the barber. I need to get this all trimmed, all that dyed. There's a guy who does his operation. Maybe I'll try to pull up on show today or tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight because we're approaching 5 hours. There's this guy. He's a content creator. He operates, does all his recordings. I don't know if he does a live show. He does all of his recordings out of a garage. Like he makes it like you chilling out with your uncle or your dad, and you're having just a good talk about like you know he cracks open a beer like PBR. PBR is like one of the few beers I like. I don't really drink a lot of beer, but anyway, once in a while. He cracks open a beer and he talks specifically about helium. He's got a pretty decent following. All right, here's the key thing. And this is what I've gathered, and it makes total sense. And I try to verify with other particular content creators and so on. This is consistent. So I want to get this across. If you're using your helium miner, the traditional old route, where you simply have it hooked up to like, like your router, right? And you happen to have it beaming through like a window in a particular direction, and your complaint is, I'm not making much off of it. Of course, you're not. Back in the old days, when it first came out, you've been fine. They have completely changed this. I'm going to tell you flat out this. This is why I want to get into helium mining. Now, this guy has pointed out that the key thing is not that traditional route. So my friend was like, I'm going to get a helium miner. I'm going to have it located at coffee shops and so on. And I'm going to make bank. You're not going to make bank. You might make a little bit, but you're not going to make bank. You want to know how you really make it from what I gathered? And you can look this up yourself. I'm not just trying to hype you guys up. This is good info. What you do is you take that helium miner, and if you have the means necessary, it is really designed as a scraping mechanism for a service for people who go off of the grid. All right. So, some people say, well, okay, that's roaming. Hear me out. So my buddy, he lives in Mississippi. He became a pilot like maybe a year ago. He bought a Cessna, like a 1992 Cessna. Paid about $22K for it. He came out and visited me in February of last year. Coolest thing. It was the first time I ever met him in person. He was a gaming friend. Anyway, he flew out here with this $22,000 Cessna. We were talking about helium at Red Robin, believe it or not. All right. And when we were talking about helium, I said to him, there's something about this helium. And I said, I think I'm about becoming a miner. Now, of course, I haven't done this yet because I put my money elsewhere. And he was like, let me know about this. So we're explaining about this and so on. And he became interested. He was like, you know what? I get up on cell phone towers, as part of my job and whatnot. It's not like we're trying to steal electricity or anything like that. But he's just like, I know how to set up things, right? Where, because I asked him, I said, have you ever done anything where you're on a cell phone tower and you had to put like in a new box or something like that, right? He's like, oh yeah, I totally know how to do that. So my thing was like, that'd be perfect, because at the time there was a report, and I did an old video about, I'm gonna pull this up. This is Vintage Maximus. I want you guys to see this. I think I had the picture of this. I want you guys to see this. My God, I can't believe we're talking about helium. There it is. There it is. All right. Why am I pointing this out? The reason why I'm pointing this out is this is footage from a guy, I think he's in Portugal. So he has this custom helium miner. Believe it or not, that is the hotspot miner, but he has it rigged like this. This guy was doing really, really well on his helium rewards at the time. All right. So in this particular area, the people have internet and so on, right? But he noticed on his path, I guess, that a lot of people would lose connection from Wi-Fi. That's the key thing. Losing the connection. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is this. All right. My friend lives in a he lives out in the country, like in Mississippi, right? He makes good money, don't get me wrong. He lives way out in the country. This is what was appealing to him. And in the future, after I'm done stacking my crypto with, getting into LCX and all these other particular ones, I don't want the video to fast forward. Hold on, I got to pause that. I want the picture to stay up. Sorry about that. Hold on. There we go. I'll just pause it. So my point is, he lives in the country area, and I said to him, I said, look, his name is Barry. All right, we call him Kilohertz in my gaming crew. So I said, Barry, I said, check this out. I said, do you know other like farmers and stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, I do. I was just like, all right, so a helium miner on this new thing they got going on will make more money in these real super rural farmland areas. Now, why is that? Do a lot of these farmers and their hired helpers have access to Wi-Fi? Like, are they really worrying about the Wi-Fi out there? No, they're not. The key thing is this. This guy who did that, that YouTube channel about talking about out of his garage about helium mining was mentioning the places where you can make the maximum amount of profits are these extreme rural areas, farmland areas, because those guys are completely off the grid. Now you may think, well, Max, why don't we just take it out to the mountains? No, they're not going to make no money off that because we actually still have to have people who are going to be out there. The key thing is going out to these areas where there's consistent farming going on, there's consistent paths of people going through there, but the consistent thing is they have no Wi-Fi. Literally, they have no service. So the combination of no Wi-Fi, no, how you swipe the thing on your phone and you're connected to what they call are you connected to the 4G, the 5G, right? You're on the cloud. We're talking about nothing. It's just dead, but there's traffic. There's traffic of hired help. And, so he had this thing that tracks footprints. I know it sounds crazy. There's certain things. It tracks where people walk in these paths, right? The trails, right? Tracking trails. So if you happen to know of for instance, a hiking trail, but that hiking trail, there's no service out there. That'd be a good one too. But the key thing is absolutely no service, but trails where people are hiking, where people are doing labor work. So what's going to happen is if you're the only person that has, you see this dang thing, right? This guy's in Portugal, right? And is beaming out all sorts of different directions. Your traditional hotspot, I heard you can do up to 30 miles through your, office window and so on. But you're very, think about you're just getting a very little amount of traffic. You're just getting a little bit of data, if that, right? You're not getting much at all, right? You're getting the random person that drives by. Maybe they left their house. It kicks them off the Wi-Fi. For a split second, they're trying to connect to the cloud, but it scrapes from you. You get a little bit of reward. Okay, you might make $25 a month. That's just chicken feed, no pun intended. But it's these guys, like this guy, and what I was mentioning earlier, right? If you have a mechanism set in place where all these people are walking these paths and it's literally absolutely no service, either on the cloud and on Wi-Fi, then guess what? I want to talk about your utility layer. Your hotspot becomes the centralized hub for all of that data. Now, the reports showed, and I apologize. I really wish I had all these links saved, but again, this is extended coverage. I wasn't planning to do this. The key thing is the reports showed that helium mining rewarded those people who did that all the way out in the country, these farms with no service and so on. And in these particular areas where the paths of high traffic, like guys were coming in and, they're unloading the hay, but they have no service, no nothing, right? And it was consistent, decent traffic, right? But continuously it was scraping that data. Now you may think, well, what's the big deal? I mean, what if the crew is like only 5 or 10 people? The key thing was there was people that had farms set up where you had higher hands of like 10, maybe to 15, but they continuously scraped that data and did it over and over because that was the main central source. That's the key thing. Now, if you're wondering, how much did they make? It was in the thousands per month. Now, you may think, well, that's not going to make me rich. That's not the point. The point is, that ain't too shabby at all. And that's where I'm going with it because I'm like, you know what? In the future, I don't want to do the ASIC miner thing. You know what I mean? As you guys know, it's just, man, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, you know, look at all the guys were, you know, mining Ethereum. Now some of those guys want the Ethereum Classic. Some guys said, "The hell with my ASIC miner. I'm gonna go to like, you know, was it Raven Coin? And with there, I don't even need an ASIC miner. I can mine Shiba Inu. Yeah, you can mine Shiba Inu. Some people say, well, you're full of crap, Max. You're completely full of crap. You can't mine Shiba Inu. It's different. What happens is you use this thing that Raven Coin has to, it's kind of like unofficially mining Shiba Inu, and then you convert it over to the reward token of Ravencoin. Again, we'll take more of a deeper dive into it, but that's what's going on. But I'm telling you flat out, if you have those type of connections, right, look more into HNT mining from that perspective. But if you're going to do the traditional route where you just hook it up to the router, you just want to be done with it, yeah, you're not going to make that much money off of it. So I know that was a long spiel on HNT, which is not really planned tonight, but it's pretty interesting. And that guy, look at that. I mean, that, you don't think that thing ain't beaming out? I believe on that particular report, he had that beaming out like 60 miles in every direction, which is at least twice of what it can do with your standard one. And if it's not him, there's another video or another update I did a while back. You got to keep in mind, this is a long time ago on my old channel, where the guy had up to 200 miles in a direction. All right. So, you know, and then some people say, well, then who cares about that? Why should I care about that? You're hitting two birds with one stone if that's the case, because for one, you're getting the guy who's driving down the highway or whatever, right? He's scraping data and it hits your signal. That's the key thing. And then you're hitting all the people in the farmland area who are just completely like no service. That's the key thing I wanted to mention to you guys. So glad to share that with you guys. Kind of vintage Maximus there off my old channel, Maximus Crypto.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, do yourself a favor and subscribe for more information on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of the new videos when they come up. Max and I cover these ISOs, and we also have a live show every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in for that. You won't want to miss it. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next video.